"I want to ask you something," he said quietly, "and I want you to tell me the truth." She didn't reply. "Did you poison Amanda?" Her face twitched. "Why would I—" "Did you poison her?" The pause was short, and then Mabel snapped, "Why does it matter? She's not dead, is she?" The words hit him like a slap. Williams took a step forward. His voice dropped into something deadly calm. "I took you in because of my late wife. Do you remember that? I didn't ask questions when you said you wanted to stay. I gave you a place here because my daughter loved you. You became part of this family." "She was ruining everything," Mabel hissed, the words bubbling up with suppressed jealousy. "I served this house for over 10 years. 10! And she just walked in from the streets and you made her your assistant. You gave her everything." "I gave her nothing," Williams interrupted sharply. "She earned it. Through hard work, through loyalty, through kindness." "And me," she shouted, face flushed. "What about all my years here? You never looked at me like that. You never smiled at me like you smile at her. I waited, served, stayed loyal." "You stayed bitter," he cut in, his voice now hard as iron. "I tolerated your attitude because of my wife, because my daughter adored you. You were like family. You had everything you needed, yet it wasn't enough." Mabel's hands were trembling. Her pride wouldn't let her beg. Her anger wouldn't let her cry. She stood there furious and silent, watching the only man she had once respected look at her with disgust. "You tried to kill her, Mabel," he said finally, shaking his head. "Over jealousy. You almost took Hope's mother from her. You betrayed the only people who still believed in you." He turned to the door. "You're leaving this house, but not with honor." Mabel's eyes widened. "You're leaving this house to where the likes of yourself are found," Williams continued, "in handcuffs." She lunged forward. "Sir, please, save it," he said without turning back. "I'll never trust you again." 2 police officers entered at his signal, their faces expressionless. They took her by the arms, ignoring her screams. As she was dragged away, Mabel shouted, "You'll regret this, you'll see. She's not who you think she is." Williams didn't even flinch. He stood by the window long after the door closed behind her, watching the car drive her out of the compound. A bitter end to years of loyalty gone wrong. For a long time he remained there, still as stone. When he finally spoke, it was to no one in particular. "I hope you heal, Mabel, but not here. Not ever again." Amanda sat on the edge of her hospital bed, her legs dangling slightly above the tiled floor. The sun filtered in gently through the window blinds, bathing the room in a soft golden glow. Her hand rested on the white sheet, fingers trembling slightly as she adjusted her posture. Each movement was still an effort, but she was no longer the woman who had been wheeled in unconscious and broken. She had survived. The poison had done its worst, but Amanda had done better. And now, bit by bit, her strength was returning. The door creaked open quietly, and William stepped in, dressed in his usual dark suit, a paper bag in one hand. "You're up early," he said, a warm smile forming on his face. "I told the nurse I want to try sitting by myself," Amanda replied, lifting her chin slightly. "The sooner I get strong, the sooner I go back to living." He walked over and placed the bag on the side table. "You're already stronger than you think." She smiled, reaching for the water glass beside her. "What's in the bag?" "Breakfast," he said. "From your favorite place. I remembered the way you talked about their pastries that morning in the office." Amanda raised an eyebrow. "You remembered that?" "I remember everything you say." There was a pause, a small silence that felt heavier than it should. "I'm not used to this," she admitted, turning her gaze to the window. "Someone caring, bringing me breakfast, sitting with me." William sat down on the chair next to her, his eyes not leaving her face. "You're not alone anymore, Amanda," he said quietly. Her eyes flickered, blinking back the sting of tears. "Sometimes it still feels like I am." Williams leaned forward, elbows on his knees. "I've been alone for a long time too. Even in rooms filled with people, I still felt it. But ever since you came into my house, into my life, things feel different." Amanda looked at him, her heartbeat quickening. "You don't have to say that." "I'm not saying it to flatter you," he interrupted gently. "I'm saying it because it's true. Watching you fight through this, watching you stay strong for hope, it's reminded me what it means to live again." A tear rolled down her cheek before she could stop it. "I'm not used to being seen," she whispered. "Well, get used to it," he said with a small smile. "Because I see you, Amanda. All of you." She looked down, breath catching in her throat. "Thank you for not giving up on me." "I never would," he replied. The door opened softly and Hope ran in with her tutor behind her, clutching a drawing in her hand. "Mummy, look, I drew us!" she shouted happily. Amanda opened her arms and Hope jumped into them. The embrace was gentle, careful, but full of warmth. William stood and looked at both of them, mother and daughter, alive, safe. He turned to the tutor. "Can you give us a minute?" The tutor nodded and stepped out, closing the door behind her. Hope turned to Williams, grinning. "Uncle Williams, can we go home now? Mummy is getting better." Amanda's eyes met his, full of something unspoken. "Soon," he said. "Very soon." The mansion gates opened slowly, and the sleek black car rolled in. Inside, Amanda sat beside Williams, a soft scarf around her neck, and her hands gently resting on her lap. Her skin still looked pale, her movements slow, but her eyes, those steady brown eyes, held fire again. Hope had fallen asleep with her head on Amanda's lap, thumb tucked in her mouth, her breath even and peaceful. Williams glanced at Amanda, then back at the road ahead. "Are you sure you're ready for this?" he asked. Amanda nodded. "This house is my home now. I can't let fear greet me at the door." The car came to a halt. The driver stepped out quickly to open the door, and Amanda carefully lifted Hope in her arms. She stepped out slowly. The air smelled like cut grass and fresh polish. The afternoon sun cast long shadows across the paved driveway. As she made her way through the entrance, a hush fell over the staff gathered by the door. Everyone had heard. The whispers had spread fast how she'd nearly died, how Sir had been with her every day, how he'd stopped everything for her. And now, here she was, back from the brink. Some lowered their eyes, others watched her closely. Amanda met no one's gaze. She held Hope with care, walking forward with a quiet grace that filled the space around her. Then someone clapped, soft, slow. Then another followed, and another. She turned slightly. It was the kitchen staff, the gardener, a cleaner, then more joined. It was not loud applause, not chaotic, but it was sincere, a wordless welcome home, a sign that they saw her and respected her. Amanda stopped walking. She looked around, surprised. William stood behind her now, arms folded, watching the moment unfold. She gave a small nod of thanks. When she reached her new room, once a guest suite, now transformed with soft lighting, warm colours, and space for Hope's books and toys, Amanda paused. Her gaze swept across the room. Everything had been changed. For her. Because of her. She placed Hope gently on the bed and brushed her daughter's curls back from her forehead. A knock came at the door. "Yes?" Amanda called. Williams entered, holding a folder. "I wanted to give you this." Amanda took it and opened it slowly. Inside were documents, official papers assigning her as the assistant managing partner for one of his new housing developments. "I've already discussed it with the board," Williams said. "You're smart, capable, and you've proven you can handle pressure. I want you to lead the Lecky Phase 2 project." Amanda blinked. "You trust me with this?" "I trust you with far more," he said quietly. Their eyes held a long silence. "You came into my life by accident," Williams said, "but you stayed because of who you are, and now I don't want to imagine any of this without you." Amanda looked away briefly, overwhelmed. "Thank you," she said softly. He nodded once and turned to leave. But before he stepped out, he paused. "And Amanda," he added. "I meant what I said. You're not alone. Not anymore." The glass doors of the Williams dynasty headquarters glided open with a quiet hiss. Amanda stepped into the lobby, her heels clicking softly against the marble floor. She wore a sleek navy blue suit, custom fitted, paired with a white silk blouse. Her hair was neatly pulled back, and her minimal jewelry sparkled under the soft lights. Every step she took was a statement. She belonged here now. Williams walked beside her, dressed in his signature black suit. He didn't say much as they headed to the elevators, but Amanda felt the weight of the moment. This was her first time at the table, not as a guest or an assistant, but as an executive. When they entered the conference room on the top floor, the atmosphere shifted. A long table stretched across the room, polished to a mirror finish. Seated around it were powerful men and women, investors, directors, legal advisors, real estate developers, many of whom Amanda had only seen in newspapers or television interviews. The chatter quieted when they noticed her. Whispers passed between lips. "Is that her?" "That's the new project lead." "I thought she was just..." Williams didn't wait for introductions. He pulled out a chair beside his own and gestured for Amanda to sit. "Let's begin," he said firmly. The meeting started, the project on the table. Lekki Phase 2, a massive real estate development expected to shape the city's skyline and economy for years. The kind of project people fought over, the kind of project people doubted she could handle. But Amanda came prepared. When she spoke, she didn't stumble. "We'll phase the project into 3 stages. The first 6 months will focus on land preparation and infrastructure. I've already contacted a reliable contractor group that worked on the Aja expansion," she said, her voice clear. Heads turned. Pens stopped moving. People listened. She moved between charts and documents like she had lived in boardrooms her entire life. She wasn't just repeating what Williams had told her, she was leading. Halfway through the presentation, an older man with silver hair leaned back, arms crossed. "You're new to this. What makes you think you can manage a 10 billion naira project?" he asked. Amanda smiled. "Because I've lived through storms, and I know how to build from nothing. I've walked through fire and came out stronger. I've faced worse than skepticism," she said, locking eyes with him. "This isn't about me. It's about results, and I'm here to deliver." The room fell silent. Then someone clapped, a woman from the legal team. A few others joined, nodding. William sat still, a proud glint in his eyes. After the meeting, as people stood and gathered their things, several executives approached Amanda. "That was impressive. You've got guts. Looking forward to working with you." Amanda thanked each one with grace, her heart beating fast but steady. When they were finally alone, Williams turned to her. "You didn't just survive that meeting," he said. "You owned it." Amanda let out a small laugh. "I was terrified inside." He smiled. "You didn't look it." They entered the elevator together. As the doors closed, Amanda looked at her reflection in the mirrored wall. No longer just the girl who once stole bread. No longer a scared house help hiding in the shadows. Now she was Amanda, mother, survivor, leader, and this was just the beginning. Amanda stood by the floor-to-ceiling windows of her new office, watching the Lagos skyline stretch endlessly before her. Her phone buzzed on the table again. Another email, another meeting request, another congratulations. Ever since her boardroom debut, her face had been everywhere, on blogs, newspapers, and social media. Williams dynasty, mysterious protégé. Who is Amanda? Amanda didn't mind the attention, not entirely. But the sudden spotlight came with pressure. Eyes were watching her now, waiting to see if she'd stumble. Hope's laughter echoed from the playroom across the hall. Her nanny had taken her in for her homeschooling session, and Amanda smiled hearing her daughter recite a poem loudly. Her piece was interrupted by a knock at the office door. It was Williams. Another interview request, he said, holding a tablet. Metro TV wants you on their morning show. Amanda sighed, setting her coffee down. They want the full Cinderella story. You don't owe anyone your pain, Williams replied gently, but your voice can inspire others. Amanda nodded slowly. I'll think about it. As Williams turned to leave, his phone rang. He answered and walked out, the door closing behind him. Miles away in a cramped bar, a man's eyes remained fixed on the television screen mounted above the counter. His face was rough, with a thin scar running from his jaw to his cheek. He wore a rumpled shirt and had the look of a man life had stepped on. Turn that up, he barked at the bartender. The TV volume rose. Amanda's face appeared on screen, smiling, confident, speaking into microphones after her board meeting. The news anchor spoke over the video. A rare rise in Nigeria's elite real estate sector. Amanda, mother of one, now leads the Lekki Phase 2 housing project under the guidance of billionaire CEO Williams of Williams dynasty. The man's hand tightened around his glass. His jaw clenched. Amanda. It was Charles. His eyes burned with a mix of disbelief and something darker. He remembered the last time he saw her, pregnant, broke, begging him to stop hitting her. He remembered laughing in her face, walking out, slamming the door of that one-room apartment, leaving her to her misery. And now, here she was, rich, respected, powerful, and he had nothing. He pulled out his small phone, fingers trembling as he typed. You are still legally married to me. I want you back, with my daughter. He hit send, his lips curling into a twisted smile. I'm coming for what's mine, he muttered. Back at the mansion, Amanda sat in her study with a pile of reports when her phone buzzed. Her smile faded. Her fingers trembled as she read the message. You are still legally married to me. I want you back, with my daughter. Her heart pounded. She didn't have to guess who it was. Charles had found her, and he wasn't just watching. He was coming. Amanda gripped the phone so tightly her knuckles turned white. She read the message again. You are still legally married to me. I want you back, with my daughter. Her breath caught in her throat. The world around her slowed, then blurred. She blinked, hoping the words would disappear, but they stared back at her, like a ghost risen from the grave. Charles. She thought she had escaped him. She had buried that chapter of her life and built something new with trembling hands and sleepless nights. But now, the past has clawed its way back. She stood up abruptly, pacing the room. Her heart thudded. She could barely hear the ticking clock anymore. He couldn't take hope. He wouldn't. Not after abandoning them. Not after everything. Without thinking, she rushed out of the room and made her way to William's private study. She didn't knock, just pushed the door open. Williams looked up from his desk, surprised. Amanda, he said, concern etching his face as he stood. What is it? She didn't answer at first. Her lips trembled as she passed him the phone. He took it. His eyes narrowed as he read the message. Slowly, he sat down again, his expression hardening. There was silence in the room, heavy like a storm waiting to break. Williams looked at her, eyes sharp. Did you ever get a divorce? Amanda shook her head, tears building in her eyes. There was no money. I didn't even know how to start. He vanished. I never thought he'd come back. Williams took a deep breath and stood. He walked over to her and placed a hand on her shoulder. Listen to me, he said firmly. No one will take hope from you. Not while I'm here. Amanda looked up at him, her eyes wide and fearful. What if he tries to fight for custody? He's her father. And he's a man with a history of abuse, Williams replied. A man who abandoned his pregnant wife. If he thinks he can use the law to bully you, he's wrong. He walked over to his desk and picked up his phone. I'm going to call him. Amanda blinked. What? Why? He wants to come into your life like he still has a right? Williams said, eyes cold. Let him come. Let him sit across from me and explain himself. I want to look this man in the eye. Amanda's chest tightened. What if he makes trouble? Then I'll handle it, but I won't let him play games with your peace. Amanda sat down slowly. Her body was still trembling, but William's calm gave her something to hold on to. You're not alone, Amanda, he added, softer now. Not anymore. Later that evening, after speaking to his legal team and placing the call, Williams received a short message from Charles. I'll be there tomorrow. Noon. Amanda didn't sleep that night. Neither did Williams. The storm was coming. And this time, Amanda would not face it alone. The silence in the office was sharp, like glass. Every tick of the antique wall clock echoed. Amanda sat beside Williams, her fingers interlocked tightly in her lap. She kept her gaze on the floor, her stomach in knots. Williams sat still behind his desk, commanding yet calm, his eyes fixed on the door. Then came the knock. 2 short, hard raps. Amanda flinched. Williams didn't. Come in, he said, voice steady. The door opened and Charles stepped in. He wore a faded shirt and worn-out jeans, but he tried to stand tall, chin lifted. His eyes flicked between Williams and Amanda, lingering longer on her. Amanda shifted uncomfortably. Charles smirked. Amanda, you look expensive. Williams leaned back slightly. Take a seat. Charles glanced at the 2 plush chairs across the desk, hesitated, then dropped into one with an arrogant slouch. I didn't know this was a conference, he said. I thought I'd be talking to my wife. She's not your wife, Williams replied calmly. You left her. You never divorced her, but you abandoned your family. Charles laughed. She's still legally mine, isn't she? And that child, Hope, she's my blood. You can't erase that. Amanda looked up now, her voice low but steady. You don't get to show up and claim anything. You walked away. Charles sneered. I made mistakes, yeah. Life was hard, but I'm here now, and I want to fix it. Williams didn't move. Let me tell you how I met Amanda. Charles blinked, confused. She stole a loaf of bread, Williams continued, from my car. I was going to have her arrested. My guards caught her. I was ready to call the police. Amanda kept her eyes down. But then I saw the baby, Williams said, his voice lower now. Hungry, crying. Amanda was shaking. She begged me. Not for herself, but for her daughter. She didn't mind going to jail, but just for her daughter to eat something. Her desperation to save her hungry daughter broke me, so I took her in and gave her a job. Charles scoffed. What's your point? My point, Williams said, is that if I had followed through and sent Amanda to jail that day, would you be here today claiming her as your wife? Or would you have let her rot in prison too? Charles looked away. Williams didn't wait for an answer. You abandoned her, left her with a baby and no home. You beat her, drove her out and vanished. Charles opened his mouth, but Williams raised a hand. She's not yours to claim. Not anymore. Silence. Then Williams looked at Amanda. Amanda, this is your choice. Nothing changes if you say you want nothing to do with him. Your position here, your life, it's not tied to this man. But if by some chance you still want this marriage, I'll respect it and it won't affect your position in the company. Amanda didn't hesitate. I don't. Charles straightened, indignant. So that's it. Williams leaned forward. No, I'm giving you 2 options. Charles narrowed his eyes. You divorce Amanda peacefully, Williams said. No drama, no threats. In return, I'll set you up with 20 million, enough to start over, or you make this ugly and leave with nothing. Choose. Charles looked between them. The power dynamic was clear. Amanda was no longer the broken girl he left behind. He rubbed his chin, the weight of the offer sinking in. 20 million? Cash transfer, but only after the papers are signed, Williams said flatly. Charles stared for a long time. Then he gave a slow nod. Fine. I'll sign. Amanda let out a quiet breath. William stood. You'll receive the money once the documents are processed. I'll have my lawyer prepare them immediately. Charles rose too, the fight gone from his eyes. You're lucky, he muttered to Amanda. Real lucky. Amanda met his gaze. No. I just stopped letting men like you define my life. Charles left in silence. When the door shut, Amanda turned to Williams. Thank you. He looked at her, softening. You did that yourself, Amanda. I just made sure he couldn't undo it. The divorce papers were signed. Amanda held the final copy in her hand, staring at her name printed in bold letters beside Charles. Beneath it was the signature that ended a chapter of pain, fear, and regret. I feel free, she whispered, sitting alone on the garden bench outside William's mansion. Hope was inside with her tutor, the house unusually quiet. The late afternoon sun painted everything gold, but Amanda felt something deeper, lighter inside her chest. The creak of footsteps made her look up. William stood beside the bench, hands in his pockets, eyes gentle. It's done. Amanda nodded. I got the copy from your lawyer this morning. He sat beside her, close enough to feel his warmth. You okay? I think so, she said, then smiled. Actually, yes. They sat in silence for a moment, birds chirping above them. Amanda could feel her heart beating a little faster. He had always been present, stern but kind, reserved but watchful. But lately something between them had changed. The way he looked at her lingered, the way his voice softened when she spoke, and the way his presence felt like safety. I didn't think I'd ever be this version of myself, she said softly. Williams looked at her. What version is that? The one who isn't just surviving, but actually living. He nodded, thoughtful. You've done more than survive, Amanda. You've rebuilt your life with grace. You've made this place better and somehow made me better too. She glanced at him, her breath catching. You were always strong, Williams. You just forgot for a while. His eyes held hers now, steady, clear. Losing my wife and daughter, it broke something in me. I shut the world out. But you didn't barge in. You just stayed, with your quiet strength, and I see it now. I feel it. Amanda's voice was barely above a whisper. What do you see? You, he said, his voice low. I see you. A silence fell again, but it was not empty. It was full, of things not yet said but deeply understood. Then William stood and offered his hand. Come, let's take a walk. Amanda took it without hesitation, rising to her feet as he led her gently along the garden path. His hand didn't let go. The day had been unusually quiet. Even the staff seemed to move softer around the house, as though sensing something important was about to shift. Amanda stood by the tall windows of the drawing room, the golden light of sunset bathing her face. Her eyes followed the silhouettes of birds in the sky, but her thoughts were on William's. Since the walk they had taken in the garden, his presence had changed. He was still the focused, powerful man she met, but now there was warmth in his voice, softness in his gaze, and the way he held her hand that day. She hadn't stopped thinking about it. A knock sounded gently at the door. She turned. Come in. William stepped in, wearing a crisp navy suit. He looked calm, but there was something in his eyes, something serious and uncertain. Hope is asleep, he said. The tutor said she read 3 chapters all on her own. Amanda smiled. She's doing so well. She's happy. He nodded, then walked toward her, hands behind his back. I've been thinking, he began, about the day we met. You were standing in front of my car, clutching a loaf of bread and shielding your daughter. I saw fear, yes, but I also saw fire. I saw a woman who would do anything for her daughter. You stood your ground against all odds. Amanda looked down, unsure what to say. Williams continued. Since then, you've walked into a world that should have crushed you, but you didn't just survive it. You've mastered it. You've grown, and you've helped me grow too. Amanda finally looked up. Williams. He took a step closer. I tried to stay away emotionally. I told myself you deserved better than a man with so much baggage, a man still healing from loss. But the truth is, you healed me. You walked into my home and reminded me how to feel again, how to hope again. Amanda's eyes shimmered. I care about you, William said, his voice deep and steady. Deeply, more than I've let myself admit. I admire you, Amanda. I trust you, and I'm falling in love with you. She didn't speak immediately, too moved by the weight of his words. I'm not asking for anything you're not ready to give, he added quickly. But I needed you to know, no more silence between us. Amanda stepped forward, reaching gently for his hand. You don't have to ask for my heart, Williams. It's been yours for a long time. He exhaled, like he had been holding his breath forever. Then carefully, he pulled her into an embrace, one that spoke of gratitude, of love, of finally letting go of fear. In that moment, it wasn't about a billionaire or house help. It was simply two hearts finding home in each other. The conference hall buzzed with tension. News outlets had been summoned from across the country. Government officials, political allies, and business moguls sat in stiff rows, whispers flying like sparks before a storm. Nobody knew why Williams, one of the most powerful CEOs and a fast-rising force in national politics, had called for a press conference so suddenly. Amanda stood behind the heavy curtains backstage, her heart beating fast. She wore a simple but elegant emerald dress, modest, graceful, powerful. Hope was at home with her nanny. This moment wasn't about her being a mother. It was about her being seen. Williams adjusted the microphone as he stepped onto the podium. The murmurs dropped into silence. He looked calm, commanding. But Amanda saw the truth behind his eyes. This was no easy decision for him. Good afternoon, he began, his voice carrying effortlessly. I know many of you are wondering why I've called this gathering, and I believe it's time for clarity. Cameras clicked furiously, heads tilted, pens flew across notepads. For years, Williams continued, I have built businesses and slowly stepped into politics with the hope of using my influence for good. I gave my heart to this country, and I've been honoured to serve in the capacities I have. But recent months have opened my eyes to something far more personal and far more powerful. He paused, glancing briefly toward Amanda's hidden position. I have decided to step away from politics. The room exploded in noise. Journalists stood, shouting questions. Some officials looked outraged, others shocked. Williams raised a hand and the room calmed. I am not stepping away out of fear or failure, he said firmly. I am stepping away because I have found something greater than power. I have found love. I have found peace. And I will no longer divide my heart between ambition and the one person who has taught me what true strength looks like. Amanda felt tears sting her eyes. The crowd hushed again as he gestured toward the side of the stage. Please welcome Amanda Daniels. For a second, Amanda froze. Then she stepped out into the light. Gasps rippled across the room. Some recognized her. Others whispered with confusion. But Amanda walked tall, proud, graceful. Williams reached for her hand. This woman saved my life, not with money or status, but with resilience, with honesty, with love. And I am proud to stand beside her today, not just as a partner in life, but as a man ready to live truthfully and without shame. The hall was silent, but slowly applause began. Soft at first, then stronger. Some stood, some cheered, others just stared, unsure what they had just witnessed. Amanda and Williams didn't need the crowd's approval. They only needed each other. And in that moment, standing hand in hand before the world, they knew this wasn't the end of a journey. It was the beginning of everything. The private jet glistened on the tarmac like a silver bird, waiting for its passengers to ascend into the clouds. Amanda stood at the base of the stairs, her eyes wide with wonder. She had never seen anything like it, not even in the movies. "This is all for us," she whispered, turning to Williams. He gave a soft chuckle, placing his hand gently on the small of her back. "Only the best for my future." Amanda blushed, pretending she didn't hear that last word, but her heart was racing. As they stepped inside, the scent of fresh leather and soft vanilla greeted them. Everything was pristine: sleek cream seats, gold finishes, chilled drinks already waiting. Amanda couldn't stop looking around. She eased into one of the plush chairs, gripping the armrests as the jet prepared to take off. "I can't believe this," she whispered. Williams fastened his seatbelt across from her. "Get used to it. There's more to come." The jet ascended smoothly, Lagos disappearing below them. Amanda looked out the window, the world becoming smaller, the sky wider. Up here, she felt limitless. They shared a quiet lunch mid-air, light, delicious meals served by a soft-spoken attendant. But Amanda sensed something deeper was coming. Williams had barely stopped watching her. When dessert was cleared, he stood, then dropped to one knee right in the middle of the aisle. Amanda gasped. From his pocket, Williams pulled out a small velvet box and opened it. Inside sat a beautiful, modest but elegant diamond ring. It sparkled like the sky. "Amanda," he said, his voice low but steady, "you came into my life in a way I never expected. You reminded me how to feel again, how to breathe, how to hope. You've been my light, my strength. And I want to spend the rest of my life with you. Will you marry me?" Her lips parted. Her heart slammed against her chest. But instead of answering, she reached for his hands and held them. "There's something I have to say first." Williams nodded, giving her space. "I love you," she said, her voice shaking. "More than I ever thought possible, but before I can say yes, I need to ask you something." "Anything," he said. Amanda took a breath. "Mabel." His expression shifted, calm but unreadable. "I know what she did was wrong. I know she hurt me. But I also know she was loyal to your wife and daughter. She gave 10 years of her life to this household, and I don't want her story to end in disgrace, not because of me. You want me to pardon her," he said slowly. Amanda nodded. "Let her go. Give her something to start over, please. I don't want to carry the weight of knowing someone's life ended badly because I was given a new one." William stood slowly, cupping her face. "You amaze me," he said. "Even now you think of others. That's exactly why I love you." "Does that mean—" "Yes," he said, smiling. "Mabel will be free. She'll get a fresh start. And you—" He slid the ring onto her finger. "You will be my wife." Tears filled Amanda's eyes as she threw her arms around him. 30,000 feet above the ground, they found something more powerful than money, more lasting than fame. They found love, pure, whole, and free. The celebration continued well into the night. Soft music played beneath the glittering lights of the grand hall, where the after-party shimmered like a dream. Amanda, now Amanda Williams, stood in the center of it all, stunned, glowing, and overwhelmed with joy. She wore a second gown now, soft ivory silk that hugged her gently, with delicate crystals tracing her shoulders like stars. Her smile was constant, her laughter real. Guests moved around her, offering their congratulations. Politicians and dignitaries rubbing shoulders with old staff and distant relatives, all bound together by the same joy. Williams hadn't left her side for long. His presence was strong, but his eyes, those eyes, never left hers. There was pride in them, and love. So much love. As she held his hand and glanced around the crowded hall, Amanda's heart warmed with a special memory, one she would carry forever. Williams had flown her mother in days before the wedding. Amanda had cried when she saw her, stepping out of the sleek black car, eyes wide and unsure, clutching her wrapper as though still trying to make sense of it all. The reunion had been full of tears, laughter, and long embraces. Williams had arranged everything, her outfits, her accommodation, even a quiet moment for just mother and daughter before the ceremony. It had meant the world to Amanda. It still did. Later, seated beside Williams as the music slowed and the hall dimmed, Amanda let herself take it all in. Her journey began with a hungry baby and a loaf of stolen bread. Her days had been filled with rejection, bruises and betrayal. But somehow she survived. She kept walking, kept believing, even when there was nothing left to hold on to. And now she was married to a man who not only saw her pain but honoured it. A man who loved her strength and never tried to dim her light. A daughter who had food, education, and a future. A name she was proud to carry. She looked at Williams. "I never imagined this life," she whispered. He took her hand, kissed her fingers. "You earned it." The lights above glowed soft gold as Amanda leaned her head on his shoulder. From tears to triumph, from the streets to forever, she had found more than a husband, she had found home. If you enjoyed this story, remember to share with your friends and family, comment and subscribe to this channel for more amazing stories.